Fear the Walking Dead Season 4 is awful, and I hate it. Everything the show was building towards during the climax of Season 3 is thrown out the window in favor of Morgan crossing over. The Clarks are completely sidelined, and it basically becomes an entirely different show with a new cast of characters, new tone, and overall a new narrative shift altogether.
Jimbo's Beer Bows.
Jimbo's Beer Bows.
Jimbo's Beer Bows.
I'll be breaking the season up into 3 different categories. The old characters, the new characters, and the story. So without further ado, let's get into this shit show of a season. So episode 1 of season 4 begins, and already something is amiss. Everything has this ugly grey filter over it, and none of the OG characters are anywhere to be seen. Instead, we start the season off with an entirely new character who ends up meeting Morgan. The intro then plays, and already, there are several things wrong with this. Where are the characters from the first 3 seasons? Why is everything grey, and what in God's name is this intro? I'll play the old intro, and then the new intro, and you can decide which one fits the title. Fear the Walking Dead more. Anyway, the show then cuts to Morgan talking to Jesus, Carol, and Rick. So already, we know the whole gimmick of Fear is ruined when it's time jumped years into the apocalypse. The final episode of season 3 of Fear takes place during the first episode of The Walking Dead, meaning it takes place far earlier on in the outbreak. But AMC say fuck it, and push the whole show forward, just to accommodate Morgan, a character people were already getting sick of on The Walking Dead, but I digress. There's then a very long and boring scene of Morgan walking, stopping, sitting down, walking, running, hotwiring a car, walking, stopping to look at a group of survivors, walking, resting, walking, checking in on a random survivor, walking, and then finally, we get to where the intro to this episode started. Morgan then meets John, who offers him candy. Then Morgan contemplates his life choices briefly, before walking again, where he is held at gunpoint by a couple of bandits. John then arrives to help Morgan, but is quickly surrounded. Althea then rocks up in her Insurgent from GTA 5 and saves Morgan and John. Anyway, the 3 of them dick around for a bit before the bandits show up again to attack. The bandits die, and then Morgan, John, and Althea drive off. They then spot a girl on the road. Althea approaches her, and she attacks her, where it turns out to be Alicia. Strand, Luciana, and Nick then come out and ambush the 3 of them. The episode then ends. So episode 2 begins, and it starts off with a title card saying before. It then cuts to Nick, Alicia, Strand, and Luciana waking up in their new home, the stadium, which is a cool concept in my opinion, but is executed terribly. We then see Madison, who is talking to a little girl. Anyway, later in the episode, Madison is held at gunpoint by Naomi, who is easily one of the worst characters in this show. Alicia, Strand, and Luciana arrive after, and Naomi attempts to flee. Alicia then offers to give her their car.
We're not gonna hurt you. You can trust us. You need help? Hell, you need the car, we'll give it to you.
Because the group is so hellbent on helping people now for some reason, and Naomi falls into an oil tank. Madison jumps down to save her, then Alicia saves Madison. Back at the stadium, Nick is attempting to leave, but he can't as he has suffered PTSD after what happened back on the dam at the end of season 3. Shortly after, Luciana spots several trucks headed towards the stadium and yells for everyone to get inside. And can we just talk about Luciana for a moment? How on earth is she a part of the group? In season 3, she leaves in episode 5, days before the dam explosion. Then she's suddenly with the group at the beginning of season 4. Anyway, the trucks arrive, and Madison heads out to talk with the leader of this group, Mel. Who, by the way, fucking sucks as a character. He serves as the main antagonist for the first half of season 4, and is arguably one of the worst characters in the entire show. The next day then comes, and instead of using her hammer, like she did with Troy to Mel, Madison just starts to casually hammer down some wood, as the immediate threat is literally camping outside their home. The show then takes us back to the present, where Nick, Alicia, Strand, and Luciana have got Morgan, John, and Althea on their knees, and want them to take them to the location of a flag Althea has, and that's pretty much it for episode 2. Episode 3 starts with Althea talking to Nick. Nick gets triggered, then Althea kicks him and holds him back as Alicia and Strand aim their weapons at her. And I'm sorry, but the way John says drop it sounds so bad to me. Drop it! Anyway, Luciana crashes the truck, because women drivers, am I right? After the truck crashes, Morgan, John, and Althea tie up Alicia, Strand, and Luciana. Nick then watches Morgan's sex tape, and he runs back to the truck to stop him. While in the truck, Nick spots the blue car that Mel's brother had back at the stadium. He destroys Morgan, then speedruns his way away. Later, Alicia, Strand, Luciana, John, and Althea come back to find the truck surrounded by walkers, and Althea wants to get the truck out of that ditch, to which John says, "It's just a van, Al." I'm sorry, but why would anyone in their right mind want to leave such a valuable thing to happen the apocalypse behind? This truck is well stocked with food and ammunition, and has machine gun turrets that decimate walkers in seconds, but that's beside the point. Meanwhile, Nick finds Mel's brother Ennis and desperately wants to kill him. Morgan, however, tells Nick to walk away, and I'm sorry, but Morgan, you literally met Nick mere moments ago, and you don't even know his full story. Morgan's all life is precious bullshit quickly got old on The Walking Dead, and now we have to experience it all over again in fear. But despite Morgan's protest, Nick kills Ennis. Then Nick is killed by the little girl Madison was talking to an episode ago, who has been working for Mel's group, the Vultures. And this was the final nail in the coffin for fear for a lot of people. Nick was my favorite character in the first 3 seasons, and I understand his actor, Frank Delane, chose to exit the show. However, why couldn't they have just had him die at the dam in a flashback in season 4? It would have gave him a far better end than what we got, given the fact that it would have meant that he sacrificed himself for Madison and Alicia. Anyway, his death marks the end of episode 3. Episode 4 is honestly mostly just filler with flashbacks to the stadium, so this will be quick. Alicia and Naomi go to a water park where Naomi attempts to run off for the second time. Later, Madison casually chats with Mel, the loitering hipster, and at this stage I'm just done. Madison is just fine with this group of people treating them like human garbage camping outside her community. Anyway, nothing much really happens in this episode. It ends with the group burying Nick. And I'll be skipping episode 5, because honestly, it's just a bottle episode about John and Naomi's relationship before all this shit went down. So on to episode 6. Episode 6 starts, and John is holding up a random vulture. He then shoots his finger off. Later in a flashback, Madison and Strand go on the sesh, which is interrupted when Madison hears one of her people yelling, as Naomi is attempting to leave for the 3rd fucking time. Seriously, how are we supposed to care for this woman when all she does is attempt to run away constantly? The next day, Naomi drives to a place she used to live at. She is shortly overwhelmed by walkers and accepts her fate, but Madison and Strand save her. She goes through some sob story on how it was her fault all these people died or something. Soon after, Mel and the Vultures fuck off. Then we cut back to the present, where the Vultures are arriving to face up against Alicia, Strand, and Luciana. Naomi then arrives, revealing that she's still alive. Then Alicia guns down John. Episode 7 starts, and Alicia, Strand and Luciana are 3v21ing the Vultures. I went on the Walking Dead wiki, and it stated there is a total of 22 members in the Vultures. The show is trying to make me believe that 3 people can kill a group of over 20 people, just because they are angry. Anyway, Naomi does this silly run. Then Alicia blows up Mel with a grenade launcher. Alicia is about to kill Naomi, but Naomi manages to escape. Morgan then abducts a child and him, an injured John. Althea, Naomi and the little girl Charlie drive off. We then have a flashback where Madison, Nick and Alicia rescue Mel. Why would you save him, you stupid cunts? Then back to the present. After all this fucking time, Alicia finally kills Mel. This is honestly what should have been done the moment he showed up. And the flashback ends with the Vultures flooding the stadium full of walkers. Then to hide from Alicia, Strand and Luciana and to get supplies for John, Naomi tells Althea to drive into the overrun stadium, which is the stupidest fucking idea ever. On to episode 8, the final episode of the first half of season 4. It starts with Madison aiming her gun at someone. It is then revealed to be Althea. We then cut forward to the present where Morgan, John, Althea, Naomi and Charlie are surrounded by walkers in the stadium. Morgan and Naomi then make a run for it to get supplies for John and narrowly miss an explosion. Charlie then spots Alicia, Strand and Luciana who have found them. Alicia then rocks up like the Terminator and warfare commences. Luciana then fires a fucking RPG at the truck and I'll let you watch this scene for yourself.
Oh, do you copy?
How'd you like that RPG?
Nice try, bitch. You're up against ballistic steel armor. Stitch welded plates. Shielding layer on shielding layer. This thing's built like a tank in a bank vault. You wanna help me with the store?
Alicia gets inside the truck and holds Charlie hostage as she demands Althea to call Naomi out so she can kill her. Strand then warns Alicia she's not coming out, and Alicia and Althea get into a fight. But their fight is cut short when Alicia demands Althea to put the kettle on for some noodles. Alicia then gets to Morgan and Naomi where she is talked down from killing Naomi by Morgan. After, we see a flashback on how Madison found everyone after the damn explosion at the end of season 3, and it was extremely lazy. I can't even be bothered to get into it. Then Naomi reveals her real name as June. Then we see in a flashback that Madison died. They really replaced her for Morgan, didn't they? The original plan was that Madison would become the main villain of the show and then they just got rid of her. To that I say,
Such wasted potential.
and the episode ends with the group gathering around the campfire. I thought it couldn't get any worse after this, but oh god, it most certainly does. Until next time.